What's going on, guys? We're back with another bike. A lot of you have had a keen eye and noticed in previous posts, whether it's on social media or on YouTube, that there's been a GSA in the background, and a couple people commented wondering who got the GSA. Well, today is the day we're finally going to tell you. Our buddy Matt, who you've seen on the channel before, he was the other owner of the Pan America, like Graham, and now he's on a 2023 GSA 1250 Trophy. But yeah, it's a big change, totally different, kinda, than what you had. Why are you on a GSA now?
So about that, the Pan America, I'll preface, it was a very fun bike. I loved owning it for the year and couple months I had it, but it ultimately boiled down to reliability. It was a fun bike. I'll echo the sentiments of a lot of people that have had them before and gotten rid of them or traded into something else. It was a fun bike, plenty of power, more than you could ever need, but the reliability wasn't there, at least on the individual bike I had. I don't want to say that as a blanket statement to all Pan Americas, or anybody watching with a Pan America, don't rush out and sell it or trade it in, keep it. But there was an engine, the engine went at 11,000-ish miles, and then from there on it was kind of a cascade of other issues. But I will say Harley corporate and the local dealer was great in dealing with it. They couldn't have been more professional. But at the end of the day, I was kind of nervous about taking it far distances and to some remote areas if there was an issue, which any bike can have, granted, and this is not immune from that. But I was more nervous on that bike than some of the other alternatives. So in the end, I ended up on this, and I've been happy with the switch so far.
All right, so why did you end up choosing a GSA? What led you to this bike?
It seemed like it was a safe bet in terms of reliability. If you look at a lot of people going to, Africa or wherever, which I will not be doing, but it seems like this was one of the bikes of choice, and the torque is nice. It's a bit down on power compared to the Harley. The Harley peak power came in at about 9,000 RPM, which is pretty much redline for that bike, and made about 150 horsepower. This is down slightly to 136, but most of the meat of the power is in the mid-range, which is most of the time.
So it's more usable power.
Exactly, that's where I'm going to be spending most of my time, is in that middle of the rev range. So the added torque is nice, and the power is where you need it versus at the upper cusp of the.
And that's kind of also goes into why you picked the A, because you wanted the fuel, because you're
correct. Yep. So
as Devin, get a shot of this. Fuel is obviously a concern for this gentleman.
Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Right. So this is not Kool-Aid. This is a 5 gallon.
5 gallons. Yep.
5 gallon auxiliary tank that you plumbed in yourself using automotive hardware.
Yep. I've had people ask me if it's a beer keg. It's not a beer keg. That's a 5 gallon tank from a company called BAM Manufacturing, made in the U.S. And I kind of jerry-rigged the setup to be on the quick release for where the passenger seat used to be. And it now has its own dedicated fuel pump, which is just a low pressure, 2 PSI pump. And I ended up drilling a hole in the factory tank, which was a bit nerve-wracking, but it transfers fuel. So when that tank runs low, I can empty the entire contents of this into the main tank.
On the move.
On the move.
On the move. And it even has a standalone fuel gauge for that auxiliary tank. So you can see, in addition to the bike's tank, you have 2 fuel gauges, obviously one's built in.
So the main tank is 7.9 gallons. I think realistically you're probably closer to 7.5 when you have it full. And then this holds 5 as advertised, but maybe a little bit less. So in total I have, somewhere around 12 to 13 gallons of fuel on the bike if I need it. That's usually empty if I'm just doing around town, but for the longer hauls I can fill that up and be set for, quite a while.
Long distances.
Yep.
Yeah. Which is great, but that's a good segue into the elephant in the room. So I was going to ask if you've had any problems with this motorcycle.
Yes, unfortunately. I would say I'm partially to blame. The fuel pump, I was headed from my home in Connecticut to Hyder, Alaska was the plan. Didn't quite make it, not even close actually. I made it about 50 miles past the Wisconsin border, and the fuel pump died. I was on the highway cruising, just speed of traffic, nothing crazy. And I was getting pretty tired, admittedly, and ran the main tank pretty low on fuel. This was still completely full, but I felt the bike start shuddering. I knew it was out of gas.
That's got to just add insult to injury.
It did.
Knowing that this was full.
It did. If that was empty, it would have made it a bit easier to swallow. But that was full. That was empty. My theory is that running the tank dry at a high speed and where there would be a high demand for fuel flow, the pump overheated, probably due to it losing lubrication, and the fuel acts as coolant for the pump. So that would be my guess, or it could have just been a bad pump. So who knows? I'll probably never know. But the local BMW dealer took care of it. It's got a new pump in it for warranty, or under warranty, I should say. But in the meantime, I had to fix it in the parking lot. I was 1,000 miles from home, and it turns out Advance Auto Parts, I don't have the part number handy on me now, but
I can put it on the screen if you give it to me.
Advance Auto Parts sells a fuel pump on the shelf that will work in this bike in a pinch. So that got me the 1,000 miles back home without having to call AAA or who knows what.
That must have been a relief.
That was a relief.
Yeah.
So,
but other than that, you said you've had zero issue.
Other than that, no issues. Yeah, hopefully that was a one-time, one-and-done fluky kind of thing.
Which you said was partially your fault. You put on yourself.
That's my theory. Yeah. So.
How many miles are you up to now?
Yeah. Let's. So this is a 23.
Don't quite remember.
Let's power it up. Let's see how many miles we're up to.
I'll have to cycle through, but give it a second.
Wonder wheel.
Oh, it's right there.
There it is.
11,217. And
you've had this since June 1st.
I think it was
the day of
early
filming
June.
this is August 27th. So he's got 12,000 miles in a month and a half.
Oh, more. It was a little more than a month and a half.
11.2.
But it was supposed to be more. That trip to Alaska would have been a 7,000 mile trip, but the pump kind of turned it into a 2,000 mile trip.
Yeah.
Kind of got to make it work.
But yeah, so speaking of these long distance trips, obviously this thing's set up to go far for a very long time. Devin, if you can come around here and get a shot of all the stuff on the handlebars and we can talk through some of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
So he's got, while we're up here, he's got the typical BMW headlight guard, which a lot of guys run. I get it. I get if you're going off-road at all, you want a headlight guard because these headlights are not cheap. And you had to specifically wait for this one because you wanted the LED headlight.
Correct. Yep. A lot of the 2022s were shipping with a halogen headlight, and BMW would retroactively put in the LED unit after the purchase once they were available. But the 2023s, at least most of them, were coming with the LED headlight. So I opted to order the bike and wait. It was really just a month, barely a month, and the bike came in, and I think it was worth the wait.
Yeah.
So.
Because you got the LED headlight and the gold wheels you wanted. This color with the gold wheels.
Yep. The gold wheels are not really an upcharge. I think it's like an extra $60, but so that wasn't of any concern. But I wanted the gold, and I had to wait for the gold, so I opted to wait. And
it's better to wait for what you wanted, and now you got it was only a month.
Right.
But yeah, so Devin, on your way over, let's take a look. So some of the things you've done here for comfort on long distance and convenience.
So comfort to start is the Sargent low seat. I should say, not to jump backwards too far, but the Harley had the adaptive ride height, which to me was a game changer when I heard that come out. I'm short, I'm 5'5" on a good day, so to me that was a big selling point. And after riding that bike, I kind of realized I didn't need it too much. There were points that I locked it out, or sometimes that it might have been having an issue, and I was still able to maneuver the bike around no problem. So this bike this is a GSA low. You can order it from the factory with the low suspension, which is what I did. And coupled with the Sargent low seat, it puts the seat height around 31.5 inches, so it's pretty approachable if you're a short rider like me. And if you're not a short rider, just get the high version, the normal version, and you'll have more suspension travel and, Yep,
and a comfortable seat.
Right, but the seat's been awesome. No complaints about that. I have not been able to outride the seat, in other words. On to the stuff on the handlebars. It kind of looks like a mess at first, but there's a method to the madness. 2 Garmin Zumo XTs. Like most people, I usually used my phone for GPS, but in areas where there's not cell service, I figured having a dedicated GPS would be the way to go. So I've got one that I mostly use for my waypoint, so pretty much from gas station to gas station. And then the one on the right is mostly for the overall, so from start to end. Yep. So I can see the overall
And I see the
mileage.
appeal of that too, because I scoffed at you when you bought
Right.
Standalone, and then we went out riding on the trails in Vermont, and I lost cell phone service. And
Yeah,
I
I
had
mean,
to
there's
wait till-
definitely ways to circumvent buying a dedicated GPS. You can download the GPX files to your phone and make it
Yeah.
work. But having a dedicated unit is nice. It's always available.
Yep.
And in case one goes down, I have the other one as a backup on the fly. So I've got the Garmin InReach. It really should be on me in case I come separated from the bike, but I keep it here just because it's in reach and I can access it while I'm riding if I need to. But that's mostly used for tracking, so loved ones and friends can see where I am if I'm on a long ride and I don't have cell service. And then phone on the bars and the fuel gauge, I believe you already saw.
Yep.
But that's pretty much everything.
What's this
there.
controller here?
Oh, that's for the Inov, I think that's how you say it, K5 dash cam. So it's something I hope I don't have to use, but
That's one
if
way
there
to
ever
step
was
up
an
your
accident, I have
vlogging.
record of it. It's a 4K camera in the front and a 1080 in the rear. So
And where'd you mount the rear one?
the rear one's pretty discreet. It's just to the left of the tail light there, and it seems to work pretty good. It just has an SD card in it, and you can hit the button any point while you're riding, and it will save the previous, minute or whatever you have it set to footage.
That's probably convenient
Yeah,
for
it's
anyone
easy.
who's ever been in an accident. Probably wishes they had it.
Right. It's no replacement for a GoPro or a
Yeah.
a Insta360, but for emergencies or if you get into a he said she said scenario,
Exactly.
it'll help you out.
Exactly.
But
Now that you've had this for about 10, pretty close to the mileage you did on both bikes.
yeah, the
Very
Pan
similar
America had
ones.
like just shy of 17,000 when
Right, so within
when
5,000.
I gave it up. But yeah, pretty close.
Pretty close. So this one versus the Pan America, pros, cons, is which one's more comfortable? Which one do you feel like is capable of going further? Is there a pro to either one?
I think there's definitely pros and cons to either one. I wouldn't say it's clear cut. This definitely, like I said before, the mid-range power is definitely a pro. That's where I spend most of my time riding. So for me, it's more usable. But as a con, the Pan America, you can bring that thing to redline and it's just more power
So
until you hit
the
rev
fun
limiter.
factor's a little higher.
Right,
on
this
the-
kind of
on
runs
the
out of
Pan
gusto
America.
at 7,000 RPM. Even with the shift cam they implemented on this from the previous generation, you can kind of tell it noses over a bit early compared to the Pan America, which, depending on how you ride, can be a plus or minus.
So you sacrifice a little fun factor for a little bit more comfort on long
Correct,
distance.
yeah. It's a give and take.
Yeah.
But overall, I'm really happy with it. Con, trying to think of any more cons with this.
Is the weight an issue? Because this one, I've
It's-
ridden both, and the weight is definitely further out with these cylinder
It is,
heads.
yeah. So the weight, this is definitely heavier than the Pan America, with or without all the stuff I've added. It's heavier. I think unladen weight with fuel, as new, with no bags or anything else, you're about just shy of 600 pounds on this. With the Pan America, you're going to be about 50 pounds lighter, which I know that doesn't seem like a lot, but it's substantial, and you can feel it. What helps is the center of gravity is pretty low compared to a lot of other bikes because of the boxer engine, but you also have 8 gallons of gas and 5 more here up top, which kind of balances everything out.
Kind of evens the playing field again.
Right.
Yeah,
But,
that makes sense.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. I really like it. I think the ride is probably more plush on this, mostly due to the telelever front end. If you didn't know, this thing doesn't have conventional forks like on pretty much every other bike. It uses a shock, just like you'd find in the rear, and a control arm and ball joint setup. Some people say it's pretty vague off-road and that you don't have as good of a road feel when you're into more of a hairier technical terrain, but I'm not good enough of an off-road rider to really realize that or feel that. So for me, it's perfectly fine, and the on-road characteristics are awesome. You don't have the self-leveling like the Harley had, or I should say the self-lowering, but you do have on-the-fly preload adjustment, so I can raise and lower the bike as conditions need, or if I'm
You
on
choose that though. It's not
exactly
the bike
right. It won't do
determining
it
that.
automatically. You have to go in the menu and choose to raise and lower it via the preload adjustment. But it does work really well. I've got no complaints. So,
So yeah, you've done some long trips on this.
yep,
You've spent hours upon hours in the saddle.
yeah,
So you have a pretty good feel for how this bike works. I do see though some parts that you carried over from the Pan America.
yes,
So I know a lot of this just transferred one bike to the other, which is kind of what I gather or have been gathering lately, is very common in the adventure touring world.
Yes.
They use a lot of the same mounts. Like you're using, those are the bags that you had on the Harley.
Yep. These
and
came
you
off
have
the
them
Harley.
mounted on the BMW racks.
Yep. These are actually the OEM racks that came with the bike. For the GSA, it's a no option or a no fee option. Comes with the bike, and these actually just went right on like they were made to be on there. Those are made by Unit Garage. It's an Italian company. In retrospect, I think there are some beefier options that you could get. These things have been dropped and they've held up pretty well, but if you look at other companies like Touratech or SW Motec or what have you, I think their options are a little more rugged, and they seem to be more prevalent. But at the time I didn't know, but I'm happy with them and I definitely plan to keep them on the bike. But
so is there anything else that are you I know we're never done as motorcycle riders, but you feel like you're in a pretty good spot accessory modification wise, or is there still things you want to do?
I think so. Nothing major. If I did anything, it would just be little things here and there. But in terms of comfort, I think the comfort's awesome. The wind protection is another big plus over the Harley. Like I said, it's also a minus because you have all the weight up high from the fuel, but the big tank and the width of it helps for wind protection on the highways. But yesterday I spent a whole day on the bike and no comfort issues whatsoever. So nothing planned in the long term, but
awesome. But yeah, so even though it's got a good amount of miles on it, it's fairly new to you.
Yeah.
So you're still learning it.
Yep.
And we're new to the adventure world, adventure touring world, riding off road and things like that. So it's nice that people are starting to pick up different makes and models, and we're all not riding the same thing for once, which we're not used to. But it's fun learning about these things and riding alongside one another and seeing which ones are better at certain things and which ones aren't. But yeah, if there's anything else you would say about the BMW versus Harley, and are you happy you made the switch?
I'm definitely happy I made the switch, and I don't want to bash Harley. I think they're a great company. I've got nothing bad to say about them as a company, and I think the bike, give it maybe maybe a next generation or a bit more, and it seems like even the 23s that are out now have been substantially more reliable, and a lot of things have been cured by either software updates or just a slight part update. But
revision to the part.
Exactly, yeah. So I wouldn't completely dismiss the Pan America. I would say if you're in the market for an adventure bike, be it full size, mid size, whatever, test ride all of them.
Yeah.
See what you like more. You might hate the BMW, you might love the Harley, or vice versa. So I'd say give them all a try, test ride what you can, and make your decision that way. But I definitely I don't think you'd be disappointed on this if you intend on taking it far or using it for mild off-road stuff. I wouldn't go too crazy, but
awesome. Yeah, we're just getting into it. Like I said, it's all new to us, so we're gonna do many more miles together.
it's the plan.
In the woods. But I know I'm gonna catch this right now. I know a lot of GSA guys are gonna watch this video, and they're gonna have questions about all of these accessories on here, and they're gonna want to know what's going on. So feel free to leave them below. We'll get them back to Matt if you have questions that he needs to answer. Just let us know below. Hopefully you can hear me. There's a giant airplane going over right now. But yeah, any questions you have on the setup or how we did the fuel tank, because you probably get those on the forums all the time.
Yep. Yeah, and I don't mind explaining it at all. I took pretty good notes, and it wasn't too hard of an install. So.
Yeah, so we'll get the questions back to Matt if we don't know the answer already. And that's basically Matt's new 2023 GSA 1250. People are doing burnouts over there. But yeah, so all right. So anyway, thanks Matt for bringing it down.
Yeah, absolutely.
Down the mountain.
Yeah.
Showing us your GSA. I know you've let me ride it. I've ridden it a couple months ago. I know it's been a little while since he got it, but we appreciate him letting us put it on camera for once, and I'm sure there'll be more videos that your BMW or you are involved with. So anyway, if you have, like I said before, if you have questions, put them below. If not, and you enjoy this content and you want to see more adventure bike stuff, more Harley stuff, more victory stuff, we plan on doing it all. So hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification, so anytime we post, you get a notification as well. And thanks for watching.